we want you to give us a little textiles, fashion, industry for dummies crash course. So we're gonna
Oh
start
boy.
with textiles and like fabrics. So
Yeah.
we want to know. So I know like one of the biggest issues I have when I buy clothing and I wash it is that it'll shrink and it'll look terrible after like a wash or two. And I can never. I now that I know about the care label, I know I should read the care label because maybe it'll tell me
Yep.
more about why this happens. So I'm wondering, what can consumers be looking for when they buy clothing? I mean, besides the actual design, like what kind of material, like what should they be looking at? How can they be better, more informed consumers? And also, I know you
Mhm.
hate viscose, so you must tell us why. And I need you to tell us what viscose is because I know a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah.
And I may
Yeah.
be one of them. So you got to tell us.
First and foremost would say look for natural fibers. And yes, like cotton is going to be the biggest one. And unfortunately, with the all the industrialization of fibers and fabrics, like right now we are fed an insane amount of polyester. So that's obviously, I mean, we'll leave it at that. The biggest fiber we see that is made often to mimic cotton or be a blend with cotton. So when you're looking for something like a sweatshirt, for example, my rule is 80-20. So when you have a cotton polyester blend, that's called a CVC, chief value cotton. So basically they are blending the cotton with polyester, which can have some actually good side effects. Like the polyester is synthetic, it's a very straight fiber, it's a very sturdy fiber, so it can provide more structure for the garment. That way, when you wash it and dry it, it's not losing shape as fast. So again, I don't like to go below an 80-20 split personally, just because when you do, then you're going to get a lot more pilling. And yeah, just there's no reason in my mind to go below the 80-20 split. So yeah, just rule of thumb, that's where I like to rank. There are so many inherent performance capabilities of natural fibers. Like cotton has great moisture wicking, properties just naturally, whereas a fiber like polyester, they're often having to apply a finish to it, which in turn, is a lot more water waste and, damaging the water that's being used to treat it. So we need to do a better job. I'm going to do a better job of talking more about natural fibers and just all the amazing properties that they have naturally that we're often told with marketing and the push of like polyester that we can only buy if we buy those performance fabrics. So when you talk about something like workout clothes, it's like I work out in cotton, just fine. And I get some people for their own personal reasons, prefer polyester, prefer nylon. So if you're somebody who's like, I can't do it, I don't like cotton against my skin, I'm a sweaty girl, can't do it. What I would say with that is also look at what you're buying and just have the honest conversation with yourself. Like, how long am I going to wear this? Like the
Mm-hmm.
bow trend right now just drives me nuts because there is just bow after bow after bow. And I'm like, give it a year, we are going to be gagging at the sight of bows, But even me, I'm like, okay, that's kind of a cute bow, But I know in a year, like, I'm going to think the bows are stupid. It's kind of like Chevron. Like, we used to all just be psyched about Chevron. Nobody's wearing Chevron right now. Like, Chevron is so chuggy now. So, like, bows right now are the new Chevron. Same thing with checkerboard. Like, all these trends, right? Where it's like you just feel you make that impulse purchase. I love this thing. It's like really ask yourself, how long am I going to wear this? Because I have nylon spandex, leggings, blend leggings from Old Navy that I've had for 6, 7 years. And yes, nylon is a petroleum-based product. It is not a great product to manufacture. There's a lot of waste that comes out of it, but like also the sustainability isn't just within the fiber itself, it's also within the longevity of the garment. I know this is something I can wear because it's going to withstand the test of time. Nylon is very durable. It's not going to get holes. It's not going to wear down. So it's like you have to also know if you're not buying like the most sustainable natural fiber, at least buy a quality garment that you are going to get a long, long life out of. And when you look at things like, yeah, the bow trend or just those trendy, little the colors and the patterns, in a year or two, you're going to be sick of them because we all do it where we just are infatuated with this trend, but that's what it is, a trend, so it dies out. So anyway, did that answer my question on your question on the
Yes.
fibers? Okay. And obviously, I mean, just obviously construction, right? Like I've harped on that so much and you don't need me to tell you something is constructed about it. If you look at it and the stitching is wavy, if there's skip
Mm-hmm.
stitches, if there's raw edges showing, it's like put it back. There's no, unless it's maybe a dollar, but even then it's like the integrity of the garment is eventually going to be compromised because it's going to
Mm-hmm.
keep ripping, it's going to have hole, so look and turn over, and the best way to truly tell how well a garment's constructed is to look inside of it. Like the outside can look great, but what does the inside look? It's kind of like people too. Someone can look great, but are they beautiful inside? You have to do the work, the research. So flip the garment inside out. See what you're buying, see how much care has gone into it, because yeah, you can make the outside look beautiful, but you can't hide what's inside. It will come to light. So yeah, looking for clothes that gives like this much of my philosophy. Do you have any questions after that before I rant about viscose?
No, that was going to be my question is I still don't know what
Okay.
this is.
Okay, so
Mallory just
um
won't tell a lie. You won't tell a lie. You just straight
I
facts the
can't.
whole
So
way.
ready. This is the
No, I
rant I've been
can't.
waiting for.
Straight facts the whole way.
Yeah, well, okay, really quick before I do, no, I can't lie. Like it's not, I mean, I'm a good actress. Like I could improv and lie, right? But like when it comes to I'm sharing something, never will I lie. And that's just who I am. And my mom always tells the story of when I was 3 years old. I'd snuck upstairs to my grandparents' house. My grandpa had this jar of Utter Balm, like the really thick lotion, and I had just like taken globs out and like wiped it all over his bed and the walls and everything. And a short while later we were leaving and I get in the car. I'm 3 years old and I'm like, I did something bad. I did something bad. I kept repeating it. I did something bad. And they're like, what, Mallory? What did you do? What did you do? I'm like, I did something bad. I got to show you. And I went up and showed them, like, it was eating me alive. I don't remember that, actually. I remember a lot. I don't remember that happening, but like, it's just who I am. It's like, if I can't lie. Okay. So yes, thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that. Um, Viscose. Okay, you ready? Yes. So viscose refers specifically to what's called a viscose solution. So you can derive that from, it's most commonly bamboo. You can also make viscose from beechwood, but ultimately like it's a tree. It's a natural fiber, right? But you can't put bamboo on a care label like you can put cotton on a care label because bamboo is not inherently a fiber that's usable to then be knit into textiles. So what you do is you take that wood, again, typically we'll say it's bamboo, and then you dissolve it in the viscose solution, which is that really toxic solution, carbon disulfide, which causes so much damage to the factory workers who work with it because it can be absorbed through the skin. It's been proven to cause a lot of problems with women's reproductive systems, in particular, nerve damage. So yeah, it's a horrible process. And then and that water ends up getting placed into the waterways of these, typically rural and, rather, poor towns. And it, causes just a trickle down effect of all the horrible things that solution does, right? But then after you spin that down, get into pellets, you spin it, and that's like where the solution comes from. So again, it's like you have to apply that solution to the wood, to the bamboo. So toxic solution, right? And by the time you dissolve it down, you spin it, you knit it, you turn it into fabric. Typically, it's going to be blended with spandex, so it makes it softer and more stretchy, etc. Like all the washing that comes to, there's no proof that says like wearing it is causing us any damage. So again, the damage is happening at the production level of the fabric. But yeah, I mean, the damage is so extensive, and it's so sad because like we don't do it in the US. We don't do it. So again, it's that out of sight, out of mind thing. Like that's a third world country. That's a third world country problem. Not our problem. We just want our super soft and cozy jammies. But it's not even a great, yeah, then I, harp about the properties of it. It's not a great fiber. You wash it, it's going to pill very, very quickly. It never looks the way it does when you first wash it. Most of the care labels you get on viscose products are going to say either machine wash cold and lay flat to dry, or give the most gentle care instructions, knowing heat and abrasion cause it to pill very, very fast. So it doesn't even look great. But because of, the cool to the touch and then the story, ultimately, that's why people love it so much, because they hear bamboo and all these companies, especially kids companies, use the word bamboo. It's a buzzword. Before I even knew what it was, I thought it was great, just inherently, because instantly bamboo is this beautiful thing you think of because it's marketed as a beautiful thing. You think of pandas, you think just light and airy thoughts. And it's crazy how just deceptive that single word can be. And back to the marketing, companies can use it all day long as much as they want. The care label's never going to say it because it's illegal and it's not bamboo fiber, but yeah, it makes people feel good and you think you're buying kind of like cotton. It's like that's what you should feel when you hear cotton because that's true, but not when you hear bamboo. But now these companies, so many of them purely sell viscose products. It's their entire business model, and they're so reliant on that marketing to sell the products because if they talked about any of the true sustainability and ethics behind producing it,
Yeah.
surely they would not have any knowing, willing customers, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah, I'm really surprised because whenever I hear bamboo, I'm automatically like, oh, sustainability, it's good. It's
Yeah.
so I'm really, really surprised. I really did not know what Vesco was and like the idea behind it, but that's yeah, truly I learned something.
As soon as
Yeah.
I hear pandas, I think it's positive. Like anything related to pandas.
I know. Yeah. I mean, well, that's the sad thing. True. I mean, yeah, you just think, yeah, unless nobody would hear that word and think, oh, that's a problem. That's never going to be a red flag, a word that's a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hopefully obviously with all these conversations, like yes, people are learning, do know better. A lot of questions I get like, is it toxic to put on my kid's skin? Or like what else would help them? Again, like, yeah, there's nothing toxic happening as far as we know today. There's no research to say that wearing viscose products is causing any damage to your body as a wearer. But again, I tell people you can get all those inherent properties from natural fibers that don't require that toxic processing to make
Mhm.
cotton, wool. And there's a ton of companies, especially for kids products that I get asked about a lot that specifically make natural fiber-based products that don't have any of the horrible side effects happening to the people who are processing and manufacturing them. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, as we evolve as a society, we get away from viscose. I hope and pray.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, talk about the manufacturing, and a lot of the manufacturing companies nowadays are outsourced in countries such as India, China, Turkey. Just like, what are your thoughts on this? Because I feel like there's always this back and forth of like all the harm that's caused by the people actually working within those factories. But then if you all just one day started to boycott them, then are these people out of a job, out of like their way of living? So I always feel like there's always like
I know.
this kind of hard dilemma.
Yeah, it's a question I've asked myself every day for years, right?
Mm.
Because yeah, there's only so much we can do, and the really heavily populated areas, in Bangladesh, in China that multiple generations of families that grow up in these factories and these garment industries that yeah don't know any other way of life. It's their one skill, it's their one trade. Yeah, we are so limited, truly. I mean, I hate to sound say that and so negative, but like, yes, it is hard because we can't expect in our lifetime to completely uproot and redirect and correct that industry. It's a broken industry. It's very sad. But what we can do, what we do have the power to do as consumers is, seek out those companies that do have the fair labor practices. Again, in the US, there's no traceability requirements, by law and ethics as far as factories go. There's one law regarding forced labor. So there is a province in China, I think it's Shaojiang, fact check me on that, where they have had forced cotton labor. So like that's a province that's outlawed as far as any imports go, with fiber traceability. But like, yeah, in the US, we don't have that fiber traceability. So looking up the companies that do provide their factory reports, that willingly share their factory information, that have their brand, that have their recycled and organic fibers branded. We have the global recycling standard, the GRS certificate for recycled fibers that provides all that traceability. We have the GOTS, which provides traceability on organic cotton and other natural fibers, their sources. So companies that are doing right, like the Girlfriend Collective is a great example of an activewear brand that I feel like is doing so much right, on every side of their business, but especially when it comes to the factory, and ethics side on the back end of the business. They provide all of that information. They provide their sustainability report every single year so you can see their carbon emissions. Like, I mean, truly, like, if a brand is doing it right and they are using that, if they're using that in their marketing, they should have the data to back it up and should have no problem sharing
Yeah.
it, right? But it's the companies that, same thing as like the wool coat conversation, that are like, we're working on, we try to be as sustainable as possible. We only work with the best factories that provide XYZ. It's like, prove it. Prove it.
Yeah.
Because as I proved with, the Madeline White thing, they were using all of the law to market their ethical manufacturing. And the crazy thing was, I talked about all of the bullet points they had as far as ethics go, like only 8-hour workday and paid maternity leave, XYZ. And the the verbiage they use exactly was, we make them adhere to the strict US laws, which
Mm.
I just cackled at, because the labor laws in Indonesia, the place we were talking about, were night and day, 100 times better than those of the US. The US has 0 days required for maternity leave or paid maternity leave, but maternity leave, period. They
Mm.
give you 4 months. They have, you get the day off on the first day of your period every month. You get paid time off for miscarriages, paid time off for your child being circumcised, paid time off for death, paid time off for divorce. I mean, better than the US in every single way. But in our Western civilization, as proud Americans, we're told that everything we do is just the best. So everyone reading that in the US is like, yeah, they're US, like America, yeah, they're US standards. Like, oh, sorry, hate to tell you, your life would be a lot better in Indonesia. Okay. Like, I say that with a grain of salt, obviously, a lot of
Yeah.
poverty. But again, the bare minimum, the rights of workers are so much better. And if you went and there was a poster being flown at McDonald's that said, that listed, we pay at least minimum wage, you'd say, what? Okay, what? Like, are you advertising that you pay at least? Like, that's what they were doing, with their ethics. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, they very carefully and deceitfully use the law in their marketing, which is embarrassing because we as Americans ate it up. But again, it's the law. And if you had any company doing that in the US, you'd immediately call it out, because you'd be like, you're bragging about following the law. Like, that's
Like, do you want a gold
pretty
star?
silly.
Like congrats.
Right. Yeah.
The bare minimum.
The very bare minimum.
Right. It's just,
but
it's silly.
It is,
Silly.
and it's very silly, but it's so crazy. Like we said, how like someone can tell you something and you just believe it. And I think this is such a big trend in terms of sustainability in the industry right now. Everybody wants things to be sustainable, but how sustainable are they actually? I mean, my packages are still coming with tons of plastic, tons of tags, but then I'm told that it's a sustainable, ethical company. And so how do you think we can reduce waste when it comes to packaging and just making more sustainable products in the United States?
Yeah, packaging is a big one. And again, everybody wants to be sustainable, but nobody wants to pay for it. And when you talk about poly bags, there are compostable poly bags that have polymers that, when placed in the landfill, all of those, microorganisms attach to them, eat them, so they compost a lot faster than a traditional, pure plastic poly bag. But from my experience, and I'm like really generalizing here, but let's just say, like, on average, we would pay, obviously in a big company, you're buying hundreds of thousands of poly bags a year and you're paying, let's just say, a penny. Whereas if you move to that sustainable poly bag, you're paying 6-7 cents. And at first you and I were like, oh, 5 cents. But like, take 5 cents times 1 million units. No company wants to pay for it unless they just have, unlimited resources. But again, every business is going to do the least possible to make the most money. So yeah, when it comes to packaging, we have all of those, developments now, but it's just a matter of the company taking the stance that they're going to use them or not. So same thing with the physical poly bags that our clothes are in. Those can be compostable. They can be made out of corn. They can be all these great materials, natural materials that easily compost when placed in a landfill, but companies don't want to pay for them. When I was in my job, apparel job, I actually, over the course of a year, I eliminated all Swift tags. We love Swift tags in America and they're ridiculous. I mean, we just Swift tag everything. What drives me nuts is especially when you have something that like has a tag like that could be like easily like knotted around a main label, but they still like Swift tag it through something and then like create a hole somewhere that there doesn't need to be a hole and just damage the garment. We just add so much plastic and waste. And I will say, I complained about that in a video recently. You know, no one keeps these hang tags. Like they're garbage. Like we just need to stop like using all these hang tags and just putting this waste on garments. And this woman commented and she's like, I actually use the hang tags as bookmarks. And I was like,
Oh, get a bookmark.
Why?
I was like, okay, Janet, okay, but like, how many bookmarks do you need? Like, you only need one or two, maybe. Anyway,
How
so
many books is she reading?
I don't know. I was like, okay, there, like, that was like the one use that I'd heard where I was like, okay, yes, but otherwise, like, okay, 99.9% of people are throwing away their tags unless they're a reseller, maybe, and like you're talking about shoes and people want to keep the boxes, like, okay, but again, ultimately that is waste. Someday in time, that will be waste to somebody. And how long is it going to have to sit in a landfill before it composts? If you're talking plastic bags, over 100 years. If you're talking, all these synthetic fibers, hundreds of years. We also have developments for biodegradable finishes on products. There's a great company called Ciclo that I hope just continues to like amp up more and more year after year. But unfortunately, in the US, biodegradable clothes is not a really positive buzzword. And you instantly have people thinking that that means their clothes are going to disintegrate on their body or they're going to go to take them out of the dryer and they're just going to be in shreds. It's not what that means. Again, you have to physically have those clothes in a landfill with all of those microbes present in that ecosystem to attack them. They don't live in your washing machine and in the air. That's again part of that education that hopefully just continues to ramp up as time goes on and like the younger generations care more than those older generations. But yeah, we have a lot of the technology and advancements in place, but businesses don't want to pay for them. So hopefully we as consumers continue to challenge companies and call them out, when they say they're super sustainable or they say they value the ethics and sustainability and fair labor, like call them out, right? Like kind of my whole gist, call them out because if you are saying it, you should have the data to back it. And some of those switches are just as easy as paying for it. The poly bags are there. You can buy them. Just pay for them. Everyone's increasing their prices. Your retails are increasing $5, $10 year over year for the same product you're paying maybe 20 cents for. I know you have that margin to then put in sustainability. But they don't. They just pocket it.
Yeah. Honestly, I've learned so much from you through our talk here. And I know you do the TikTok, your YouTube is coming out soon.
Yeah.
Can you let the audience know maybe some other ways they can get involved in learning more from you and what to look out for?
Yeah, I have now, it's funny enough, secured my Please Don't Buy That, PLZ, don't buy that, handle on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok as long as we have it. So yeah, same handles there on all three platforms. I will have my first YouTube video coming out next week. Again, it's just my kryptonite. Now my raw footage was well over an hour and 20 minutes. So trying to whittle that down into enough content, but not too much for people who are willing to sit and listen is my challenge. But yes, going to just dive deeper into everything that I've covered so far and more. There's 100 plus more topics that will just continue to evolve naturally in conversations and people's curiosity. So yeah, please go find me on YouTube, hopefully just to get more education there. I've had a lot of requests to have a Patreon, like a special educational kind of place there. I don't know if that's really in the cards for me. But I have no desire to make money off of education. I find, again, the most fulfillment, satisfaction, true reward, and just people saying that like I'm getting them to turn their clothes inside out and read care labels in stores and buy better stuff. I have a day job. I I don't yeah, I don't need to make money off of teaching people how to buy. No, it's my passion and I don't, that's the fulfilling part for me. It's not about the money ever. So yeah, find me over there, and hopefully it's just, yeah, we continue. I've only been doing this for 58 days. So I don't, who knows? Who knows where we'll be at 580 days? I'm sure just beyond my wildest dreams. So yeah.
I want to ask, do you have like a consultancy? Like if people or brands want to actually like evolve, like do
Yeah.
you do consultancy for them as well?
Yeah, so I have my LLC filed, not approved yet. So hopefully, yeah, from what I hear, I'm in Missouri. From what I hear, it shouldn't be any later than probably within the next week or 2 weeks. So
Mhm.
once I get that like all buttoned up, we'll officially announce that. Yes, hopefully that'll just be taking obviously this passion and all this education like that much further for brands. I've had a lot of brands and individuals reach out to me wanting to work with me, just trying to harness like how I go about that and just be as smart as I can about that because I've had my own freelance journey that I did very haphazardly, very ADHD-ally, and learned my hard lessons there. So trying to take those in and then apply them now with this business. But yeah, hopefully just a lot of brands, partnerships for me in the future of elevating brands, helping them out, getting them the right connections. As you know, I always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. I have met hundreds of factory owners, fabric mills, suppliers, trim suppliers, in the industry. And actually, most conventions are free for you to go to. Look up some of the fabric and textile conventions. They're all over the world. Most of them are free. Again, you can attend, learn just as a consumer, more about fabrics, which is super cool. Go to your local fabric store. Go just keep doing that research for yourself. But yes, eventually, very, very soon, I will be able to announce that. Just don't want to put it out there because I know people are weird and like will try to file the trademark before me or something. I don't know. I've heard horror stories and I'm like, I don't have time for legal battles. Please, please leave me alone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't
everybody heard it
do
from
that.
Mallory. Do not buy her ads. She will be very upset. Do not come for her.
I'm so surprised. Well, and like the funny thing was, I just said it on a TikTok when I went to change my name because when I like kind of gained a lot of followers, I got really weird about people knowing my name. And again, like I'm a single mom. I didn't want like my son potentially getting wrangled into all of this craziness. So I wanted to, my full name was on my TikTok. And obviously I say my name, people can look it up, but I was just trying to eliminate as much of many crazies as possible. So I changed my handle to at please don't buy that, but I didn't change my name, but it changed my name for me. Like
Oh,
my name was just Mallory with like a black heart, and then I just took the name off, and then it says cannot change the name every 14 days. And I was like, okay, so it was a happy accident. I actually just love that like most people don't know my name. I hopped on someone's live the other day who's been like in my comments every day, like biggest fangirl, so supportive. I hopped in her live and I was like, she's like, oh my gosh, you're in here. I'm so sorry, I don't know your name. I was like, it's okay. So yeah, kind of weird, but I put my name in my bio. I guess I said my name is still Mallory because that was one of my little
Yeah,
I
I
saw
see
cheeky
that.
comments. Okay, so
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
cute.
see.
It has been so lovely, such a joy having you here. And I want you to just leave the consumers of America, the fashion people everywhere. I want you to give them one last piece of advice for how they can approach fashion and consumption. Big question, but just one last thing they need to know before you leave us from this particular platform.
um yeah, probably something you don't want to hear. You can likely never buy another piece of clothing again in your life, and you will be just fine. Obviously, there are special circumstances, but we all, especially in America, have enough clothes to last us a lifetime and then some. So if you are looking to buy new clothes or new to you, thrifting is always your first best option. Second best is secondhand or new to you. Third best is again investing in those companies who are doing right by everyone to the best of their ability and their fiber traceability and their ethics practices and their sustainability. All that information should be public. If you can't find it on their website, then that probably gives you the answer you need that they're not the company that deserves your money. So yeah, look at your take a long hard look at yourself and tell yourself you don't need any more clothes, but also I get it. We all want new clothes. That's a part of us. So yeah, do right by yourself, do right by others, and hopefully invest in pieces that are good quality, good content. I wish I had another good C word here to really throw in a last ringer, but just good stuff. Buy good stuff. Hopefully you have enough knowledge now to know that what you're buying is quality to the best of your knowledge.
The recording has stopped.